I switched from the iPhone 13 mini to the Samsung Z Fold 8, and I wanted to see if the smaller, wider form factor, made with the ability to unfold to a much larger display, makes sense as the best newer phone to replace the mini. So join me as I switch from the Samsung Z Fold 8. A lot of you have been waiting for this video, the one that, unlike most switching videos, actually switches to an equally compact form factor. And during my time testing this phone, I can confirm it is as good as everyone says it is, and the perfect size for mini users, but not without its drawbacks. To put it simply, this is the first phone in years that proves that the best phone isn't always the one with the best specs. So if that's true, what's so great about the Fold 8? Well, on paper, you're getting a much newer phone with 5 years of advancements in tech. A 5.5-inch display, just 0.1-inch difference from the mini. But that display is a wide aspect ratio that's easier to reach the top of, goes nearly bezel-less around the edges, and has a hole-punch camera on the front with 10 megapixels and face unlock. On the back, you're getting dual 50-megapixel wide and ultra-wide cameras that go from 0.6 to 10 times zoom, a 4800 milliamp battery, bonus that is just 201 grams and 9 millimeters thin. Wait, but is that all this phone does? No, because unlike the mini, this phone is compact when you need it, and it also unfolds to a larger 7.6-inch display capable of perfectly framing photos, watching content, playing games, and adding a dock with the ability to multitask easily. If you add all this up, it seems like a huge improvement to the mini. So what's it like to actually use this versus the mini? In the hand, these are very different phones, and it's hard to believe that they're just 0.1 inches difference going from 5.4 inches to 5.5 inches. The mini is 7.6 millimeters thin, while the Fold is just 9 millimeters, even though it unfolds to an insane 4.5 millimeters thin. Both include a dual camera system with the main and ultra-wide cameras, where the Fold has a much improved 50 megapixel camera system. The weight difference if holding both is noticeable for sure, but I wouldn't say that the Fold is heavy at all, at just 201 grams. And even with the case on it, it's super thin and it doesn't disrupt the screen. This is today's sponsor, Benks, with the ArmorGrid Pro. The amount of comments that I got on my Fold 8 case comparison are the reason I started using the Benks case in the first place, and you guys weren't wrong. A case with DuPont Kevlar armored fiber that's incredibly durable and scratch resistant. Then it has a raised camera bump for added protection. It has built-in shock absorbing corners for drop protection. On the side, you get raised volume buttons that are super responsive here, and a cutout for the sleep button to accommodate the fingerprint sensor. This case, unlike a lot of others, have a front cover that raises around the screen for front protection, but it's still extremely easy to swipe in from the sides, which is awesome to see. Plus, this one also comes with a tempered glass screen protector that's perfectly clear and fingerprint resistant. On the bottom, you have a cutout for the port that perfectly works with every single cable, including the larger ones that I own. But the best part is that this is one of the few cases with hinge protection to fully keep it protected as you open and close it. This case also adds magnets to be fully compatible with magnetic charging, with decently strong magnets in my test. Benks also has other popular cases in the lineup, including a clear option that's been extremely popular with viewers on the channel. And if you want to pick up the Benks ArmorGrid Pro or the clear case, I will leave a link with discounts in the description. The best thing about the Fold 8 is that perfect form factor cover screen. A small form factor that means functionally, using the Fold is actually easier, with the ability to easily reach the top of the screen. However, typing on a wider screen still means stretching to use the far side of the keyboard depending on the size of your hand. But the amazing thing here is that the front cover screen isn't limited like its Fold sibling that only uses select apps in limited or crammed ways. Instead, the Fold cover screen is a fully functioning phone. In fact, from setup to using this phone daily, you never actually need to unfold the phone at all if you don't want to. I use the outer display probably like 95% of the time when using this phone because it's just so handy to use with this form factor. So if that's the case, why would you actually unfold this thing? Well, this is a 7.6-inch display with a perfect 4:3 aspect ratio, which makes it perfect for viewing photos because it's the exact aspect ratio as photos you take on nearly any modern phone. And it's so thin and so light that it feels like you're holding the photo in your hand. I've been spending a lot of time using this inner display for entertainment, and it's absolutely incredible for gaming as well. There's select games on the App Store optimized for using larger displays like this, like Pocket City, which I have sunk in more time than I care to admit into. Play it on either display and it'll automatically resize, but then the aspect ratio also matches every retro game, so anybody playing their old GameCube or handheld games are going to look absolutely incredible on this thing. Like, this is the perfect nostalgia machine. And with this phone, it's kind of like those who have an iPhone 13 mini and an iPad mini right now are going to love having both combined into one device. But then what can it do differently than those devices? First, you get two home screens side by side, more apps, more widgets, and this can be entirely independent from your outer cover display if you don't want the same layout. The display is just meant to do things differently. Use apps in a single view or open them into a split screen setup like it was built for. Arrange those windows in any layout or orientation that you want, and keep them pinned together so if you open another app, you can always go back to that dual configuration. Plus, open a third app into the grid mix, or even a fourth one on top of all of that. It's a multitasking machine that has a significant leg up on the iPhone right now just because of the software optimizations that it can do for multitasking. But the major use cases that I'm excited about with this phone are the retro gaming, which it just feels like it was built for. A 4:3 ratio perfectly matches every retro game you know and love that you can now upscale into a higher resolution, and it just makes it so much fun. I am sinking so much time into games that I used to play, and there's just something so amazing about reliving those experiences from years ago on a device that genuinely makes them better. Something I want to dive deeper into in a longer term review. Stay tuned for that. Third, I'm starting to realize that some apps are quietly already supporting this form factor even though it just came out. TikTok looks like it doesn't support this display with wide letterboxing, but open the comments and they open in a side panel instead of a pop-up, which is actually really nice here. A lot of email apps also allow for a proper inbox view with content on one side and messages on the other. Even select games are going to stretch to fit onto whatever display you're using to see more of the world around you rather than just scaling and getting bigger. It's the little joys that show you how this display does specific things really well. The main thing I've come to realize about this display is that the tech itself is perfect, but in order to work, you need content worth watching on that size and apps that fit properly to support it. Like Apple has always been priming for an upcoming foldable for years, getting developers to automatically flex into larger displays, but on Samsung, years later, it's still not without trade-offs. First, content. Photos are the perfect size for that inner display, perfectly filling to the edges, but videos are a different story. Nearly nothing is filmed for 4:3 ratio anymore, and that means that your gorgeous 7.6-inch display ends up wasting like 30% of the display. Don't get me wrong, watching older content that was made for that 4:3 aspect ratio that used to sit in your living room is perfect for this display, but modern content just isn't built for this aspect ratio. Even if you're getting a larger display to watch content, it's only using 70% of that available space in this ratio. And when you're binging content, that brings us to problem 2, the speakers. So when you use this thing closed, it's balanced sound that's totally acceptable because the speakers are located on the top and bottom of the display. Makes sense. But it's only when you unfold it that you realize an entirely uneven sound, positioned only on the right side of the frame, and it's immediately noticeable when watching content or playing games, with the only way to make it better being to use it rotated, where they can be more balanced, a ratio that just doesn't make a ton of sense. Third, apps. In this case, we're always filling the full screen, but most of them just don't work with this design. They get wider for no reason, again causing unnecessary white space, or content that spans and you're left scanning an oddly large amount of space, where I would typically just choose to switch back to the smaller display to make it easier. And on the note of displays, number 4, the crease. Out of the box, this thing is shipped completely flat and does not have a crease. And so the first time that you close it, you're actually bending the device and causing a crease that's now permanently there forever. It like immediately feels like you're breaking your phone. It's an awful feeling, and then eventually you just get used to it. And if none of that is a deal breaker for you, the overheating will be. A serious issue with this phone that I noticed consistently over my time with it. And I'm not talking about like 2 hours of gameplay, it was more like 10 minutes of gaming or even 10 minutes of multitasking. It didn't take insane heavy performance. Just know that if you're using this for a consistent amount of time, it is going to get hot. And by that amount of time, I mean 10 minutes. Plus, when you charge this thing, it does a great job of fast charging, but again, it gets so hot immediately. Now, I'm not concerned this is going to light on fire, and it didn't seem to throttle any of my performance with the phone, but it does still leave me wondering how the battery is going to hold up long term if it's subject to constant overheating. So they're just something to keep an eye on over time. The cameras on this phone are a decent upgrade going from the Mini to the Fold. We're talking 12 megapixels up to 50. Both have dual camera systems, including a main and ultra-wide lens, with the Samsung zooming from 0.6 times to 10 times zoom, where the Mini is capable of 0.5 times only to 5 times zoom. But the interesting thing here is that, in my opinion, the iPhone does a better job at processing images even with that lower resolution. So what you're going to see in your day-to-day photos is that yes, the Fold will take a sharper, much brighter image, and likely more detailed thanks to the 50 megapixels, but the images can come out with more noise and distortion. On the Mini, the photo might look a little duller, but it's also processed to be a lot more balanced, cleaner, and overall more natural than the Samsung cameras. And that has everything to do with software processing and really not that much about the hardware. The front cameras are slightly worse on the hardware side, with the Fold at 10 megapixels versus 12 megapixels on the Mini, and again it's that same scenario where processing means that the photo in the Mini is still going to look more natural than the one taken on the Fold. The one advantage I've found with the Fold is the ability to use the best rear cameras while taking a selfie, thanks to the ability to fold them around and use the front screen. So now you get the 50 megapixel cameras, and also don't forget the underrated ability to use that much larger display as your viewfinder, so it instantly becomes much easier to frame a shot when you see it on a much larger display in front of you. Now honestly, they're both good enough cameras to get by, and I don't think anyone is buying either of these phones for the cameras specifically, but when you're spending this much more on the Fold, it goes to show you that you're paying a lot more for the Fold functionality than you actually are about the specs on paper. One massively underrated feature that no one's talking about with this phone is the fact that AirDrop now works natively with it. So I can automatically discover this phone on any of my Apple devices and send just like normal AirDrop. It's been working flawlessly. The one downside is that they didn't natively bring MagSafe to this phone, so that's where I'm using today's sponsor Benks case for the built-in MagSafe support so I can continue charging and mounting it on a vertical stand. So after going from the iPhone 13 mini to the Samsung Fold 8, was it worth it? Honestly, it was an entirely different experience. The form factor of that cover display is the best I've used on a phone, and I was glad to see that I could use it as a fully functioning phone without ever needing to open the expanded display if I didn't want to. Ultimately, I think it's worth the switch if you care about merging a phone and a tablet together. Like, do you want an iPhone 13 mini and an iPad mini in one device? If so, this is perfect for you. But really, I think this is just highlighting the important point that in a world where for years phones have been just getting larger and larger, we're starting to move back to devices getting smaller, more compact, and easier to use, which was the main selling point of the Mini. I personally found that a large portion of my time was spent using just that outer display, and that was an amazing experience. And the times that I opened it were to do more time-consuming tasks like watching content or playing a game, and those are things I could do on an iPad anyway. My honest thoughts after using a phone like this is that it's double the phone that I need. And if we could find a way to make a phone that's just the outer display without the folding, and keep it relatively thin, not necessarily as thin as this, I think the aspect ratio in the phone would be absolutely perfect. But I still think as it stands, this is an excellent phone and one of the first foldables that I could see a lot of people using as their daily driver. But let me know in the comments what you want to see for a longer term review of this phone. Also, let me know if there's any other phones that you want to see, like the upcoming iPhone Ultra, and what it's like to switch from a phone like the Mini to that. Also keep an eye out for the Flip 8 review that's coming to the channel very soon. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.